The biggest trap I see people face with the law of attraction is they get stuck in ego. And ego is an acronym. An acronym for ego is edging God out. When you don't include God or the universe or Allah, Jesus, whatever your name or label you put on God, when you remove that from the equation, you are functioning on ego and you're contributing to all the problems that are already existing in the world. I know this sounds a little bit extreme and it's out there, but the universe is calling us to be more in tune with ourselves. And you wouldn't have clicked on this video unless you knew about ego and you want to learn how to beat the ego. Now, the ego is not something that's bad. It's a tool, right? The ego is a tool that we can use to navigate this reality. However, in our reality, the ego is everything, or the mind or the brain is everything. You go to school, you learn, you study, you remember, you recall, you do tests, you study, you learn, you recall, you take tests, and then you get your qualification to prove that you have a good brain. And that's literally all it is. Like, oh, I have a good brain. My brain's smarter than your brain. And I can get this job because my brain's different than your brain. That's literally what's going on. But the reality is we're all human beings. We're all equal. But life has determined that this person's more valuable than this person because they're able to retain information, study, and recall things and take tests. Ego is edging God out. You want to edge God into everything that you are doing. What would God think about this? What would the universe think about this? The decisions that you're making, the things that you want to manifest into your life. You can manifest money from the ego, or you can manifest money from the heart. Okay, it's two different things. So I want money because I want people to see that I have stuff and, I've made it and I'm successful, right? And look at the words I'm using, I am or I'm, okay? Whenever you're saying I am, in my opinion, you are speaking of ego. The true I am is beyond ego. It's not even I am, it just is. As soon as you say I, you're saying individual. I, individual, am. You're not individual, you are everything. You are is. Everything that's surrounding you right now just is. The YouTube just is. There's no, whatever reference or meaning you give to YouTube, you may like YouTube, you may hate YouTube. That's your ego. You may like corn, you may not like corn. It's your ego. You may like Netflix, you may not like Netflix. It's ego. You may like Gaia, you may not like Gaia. That's ego. It's all your reference points. It's all of the things that you've learned up until now. Every single thing is ego. So when you can acknowledge everything is ego, you've defeated the ego. When you can acknowledge that and you're aware, okay? When you can acknowledge, aware, be present of ego, that's all that matters. You've stepped into truth. You've stepped into presence. You've stepped into the isness. And the isness is now aware of the ego. The isness is aware that I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I hate that. I love this, I dislike that, right? And so now that you're aware of it and you're not making it a part of your identity that you don't like this and you don't like that and you like this and like that and you love this and you love that. When you're identifying it, guess what? Now you're trapped and ingrained in the ego even more. And so what a lot of us do when it comes to success with the law of attraction, manifesting a specific thing into your life, like it's a relationship or more money or starting that business or whatever it is, we tend to put this goal as it's going to change my life. It's going to make me feel better when I have this relationship. When I have this business, when I have this money. But the truth is, yes, it will make you feel good. It may not, it may be like a short episode of like, woohoo, I hit my income goal. I grew my YouTube channel to 10,000 subscribers. Woohoo. But guess what? What the ego does, Is it says, hey, like, 10,000 subscribers, we did it, we got that dopamine release, and then it's gonna go for 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. It's gonna go for more and more and more and more. The ego is never ending because the ego is forever wanting more. That's why we have in America, in the UK, we don't have this, by the way. You have small, medium, large, and then supersize. We don't have supersize in the UK, right? It's always more, it's always bigger, it's always better when it's bigger, and, mansions and, this and that, bigger car, more fancy car, that's better somehow. Just like we're talking about the brains, right? It's not better, it's just different. $1 million and $10,000 is not bigger, it's just different. Yes, in this world, it's calculated as value as bigger, as a larger amount, because you can get more things with it, but it's still money. It still just is. 1 penny is the same as 10 cents, right? It's still money, it still is, right? And so the feeling of an abundance of money is realizing that it's infinite and focusing on the infinite abundance that's already within you, and realizing that you are and have everything that you want, need, and desire within you. Because that feeling that you want of having that successful business, having the money, having the relationship, is a feeling that you can create and develop within yourself. You can develop that feeling before you even have the result, the outcome of what it is that you want. So we get stuck in this dopamine loop of, I need this, I want that, I want this, I want that. I like this, I don't like that, I like this and this and this and this or whatever. And our ego is taking us in different directions. But guess what's missing? God. Edging God out. Ego will always edge God out, and you forget about God. That's why in religion they say put God first, right? And so some would say, well, if you put God first, I am God as well. Like some people say, well, I am God, so I'm putting myself first. But then that's also ego, right? God first is when you are present and when you are aware of the ego. And so I went to this seminar years ago called Broadband Consciousness. Okay, Broadband Consciousness by Liz Ivory and Richard Wilkins. I'll put their information in the description. And it was an expensive seminar, and they teach you about the script. And the script is basically everything that you've learned up until now. Right? It's everything that you have been conditioned to know up until now. And so when you have those negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative experiences, basically they teach that it's the script. That's the script. When you're angry, upset, and all this stuff. And again, it's not that you're dismissing these things. It's understanding that that's the ego. The ego's hurt, the ego's bruised. And once you're aware that the ego's bruised, you're in your unconditional love, you're in the isness, you're in the godlike sort of energy, you're in God consciousness. And you're aware that the ego is presenting itself as hurt, as upset or angry or whatever it is. And it's okay to be there. Okay. You are sort of recognizing duality. You're recognizing the positive and the negative of emotions and just being aware of it. It's like you're looking at it like a TV screen, like it's got two poles, and this is the negative side of the pole. This is the positive side of the pole. I'm feeling like this right now. I'm feeling like this right now, and you're not stuck in it. You're not in it. Being in it makes it feel worse. Being in it doesn't create solutions. Being in it is not godlike, and you can't make progress in your life when you're functioning from ego. It looks as if you are making progress when you're functioning in ego, but in actuality, you're becoming more and more disconnected from self, more and more disconnected from God every time you are in the ego mind. The ego mind is a trap. Even the law of attraction is a trap. It's a trap because Rhonda Burns created a movie which taught you how to get more stuff, how to get more things, how to get a relationship, how to get this. But what she didn't teach is getting back to you and recognizing your power. Obviously, she's teaching your power in a more ego-based way, that you can get these things and, you know, you don't need to suffer anymore. You can manifest the life that you want. Is life about the 3D or is it about the spiritual? I think it's a balance between the both. It's the yin and yang of life. The world without, the world out there, if we go outward, we go to up into the clouds, past the clouds, and we escape our orbit or whatever it's called. What is it called again? I can't remember. And we get into space, right? We get into space and we keep on going and going, and we get to the planets, and then we get to the solar system, and then we get to the galaxy, and then beyond the galaxy, and then there's other galaxies, and it goes. It's infinity. Out there is infinity. But guess what? Also in here is infinity as well. If we go inward, it's never ending. Okay, it's just that they don't have, you know, the microscope or whatever to really go inwardly. They don't have the microscope to go out there infinity either, right? They don't have it. They don't have it to go that far. So it's infinity inwards, it's infinity outwards. And so what I'm saying is here, how do you bring that in to isness? How do you do that? Well, you become aware of ego and what the ego wants, but also holding that sense of truth and spirituality within you as you get those things. It's okay to be a millionaire, make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, have a successful business, as long as you don't lose the self, as long as you're aware that that's intangible stuff that is literally pretty much meaningless unless you're actually helping people and changing people's lives, and you're creating an energetic legacy. I like to call it an energetic legacy because your vibration is affecting other people's vibration. It's like the butterfly effect, right? We have to understand that these things, then when we leave this plane, we don't get to bring that stuff with us. Therefore, it's all ego. The one thing that we carry with us everywhere is our spirituality, the soul. Or some people call it the spirit. I think there's a difference between spirit and soul, but the soul, okay? The soul is a part of the solar system. When you're walking on earth, your soul touches the earth. And it's funny how we wear shoes with an inner soul. It's blocking our souls from touching the earth. In many countries, you know, we can call them third world countries, right? They're very grounded. They don't wear shoes usually. Why? Because they want to connect to the earth. Not because they want to, it's just their culture to do that. And so ego has created the shoe with the inner soul, keeping your soul in, right? Without it connecting to the earth. And so we're more disconnected from spirituality, or Pachamama, which is the earth. And so once we become more disconnected from the earth, we become more 3D, and now we're stuck more in the ego. The inner soul is keeping your soul in, and it's not allowing you to connect to everything. Everything is you, and you are everything. Ego is teaching you lack. Ego is teaching you suffering. Ego is teaching you war. Ego is teaching you competition. Ego is teaching you, I'm not enough. I need to be better. Grades, qualifications, PhDs, degrees, A-levels. All of this stuff is compartmentalizing, well, that person's a good person, that person's a bad person, that person's a smart person, that person's a black person, that person's a white person. It's all ego edging God out. So whenever you're focused on the external world, understand that majority of it is ego, edging God out. It's taking you away from God. It's taking you away from truth. The television tells lies on your vision. When you watch the TV, it's teaching you lies, and also it teaches you things that are perceived to come from the cabal, or the devil, or the evil, evil, right? And it's used for control and influence and all of this stuff. And so the more you get attached to that, the more you get disconnected from the self. The more you get connected to the self, the more you are in your power, and the more souls that are in their power and just present and awareness, the more unconditional love and God we create in our reality. You see, soul doesn't need to know the difference between good and evil, good and bad, because good and bad is also ego. When you are just presence, you will automatically understand that when you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself by hurting someone else, right? You understand that there's karma, with that. When you are presence, you recognize everything as one thing. And so you become more conscious and aware of your actions and your behaviors and things like this. And it's okay to be in the negative. It's okay to be in the positive as long as you're present. And again, I'm not saying to be 100% inward. I'm saying be here, right? Partly in ego, partly in presence, partly in the third dimension, partly in the fifth dimension, partly in realistic, partly in unrealistic, right? Balancing the male and the feminine. You'll become fully with God when you have your croaking experience. We live in a reality of balance. The universe is always trying to teach us balance. You beat the ego by understanding the universe or God is always trying to teach us balance. If we consume too many inorganic foods that are packaged in wrapping and added preservatives and colorings and all this stuff, and the cereals with all these different colors, and it's sweet, and the sugar, and the aspartame or spartame, whatever it's called, aspartame, right? You're consuming all of this stuff on a daily basis. What's going to happen? It's going to create an imbalance within. You're also going to become addicted, right? And all of these things, and it's going to create imbalance within, and then you have dis-ease in the body. And so it'll be more ideal to consume foods that are not made from ego, right? That come from nature, that have the isness within it. Things that are basically natural. Natural is isness. Natural is nature. Nature is natural, right? And so we need to consume more nature. We need to consume more isness. We need to consume more God, right? And through that, our body will begin to thrive, or will become more healthy. Does that make sense? It's like the universe or God is trying to force, things to be in balance. It's like the universe is trying to teach us to, always get back into alignment. When it comes to our goals, we want to make sure that it's not our ego, also, especially being people who are more spiritual, because your goals, usually we choose goals that are associated with the third dimension and what people have told us about the third dimension. And so we limit ourselves to the third dimension, and we're not listening to our hearts. We're not listening to our soul. We're not listening to our truth. We're not listening to our inner peace. We're not listening to our comfort. We're not listening to our excitedness. We're not listening to our true pleasure, not the ego-based pleasure. Ecstasy, right? Where your soul thrives and you're feeling fulfilled and joyous, right? We're focused on, I need to have a certain amount of money and this and that. Now, I understand some people, you need money. You need to focus on money and stuff like this. But I can tell you, if you're more spiritual and you're more heart-based and you're into spirituality and you watch spiritual videos and all this stuff, you do not want to manifest money in an ego-based way. It's a trap, okay? And you will find it way harder to. And you want to focus on, how can I do something that's totally fulfilling that brings in money, okay? And that you will see money come in that way, okay? Through obviously dedicating yourself and doing the work. And one of the most powerful ways to begin transcending the ego is to raise your vibration. All right. And I created a series of videos which shows you how to raise your vibration properly and what that's all about. It's a 3-part series right here. So please go and check that out. Very, very powerful stuff. And then also you can watch this video on my light language healing for money over here. Okay. Remember to keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.